What's up everyone on the internet? Thank you for making this video a part. I'm so excited to upload this one for you guys because today is Mother's Day and I want to do something very special for my mom. So for this video, I'm going to talk about two movies that I love to watch with my mom. And I also feel that these movies are also very special to watch on Mother's Day as well. So hopefully you guys will get a chance to watch these movies with your mom. Those two movies are Wolf Children and Maquia, When the Promised Flower Blooms. Both of these movies involve a single mom's journey to raise their kids, while both films also have their very own unique twist. I do have to warn you though, if you do happen to watch either of these films, you will tear up a little bit, so you have been warned. So let's talk about Wolf Children. Wolf Children follows the story of a young woman named Hannah who falls in love with a man she met in college, and eventually the two fall in love with each other. But it is then we find out that Hannah's lover is actually part wolf. However, despite this shocking revelation, Hannah still loves him, and the two eventually have children who are now part human and part wolf. But that's okay, because these children have a father who knows what it means to be a wolf, and we can all be assured that this father is going to teach his two kids on how to be wolf and how to be human as well. Unfortunately, tragedy strikes, making Hannah a single parent to two very unique children. And all this happens within the first 15 or 20 minutes of the movie, and after Hannah grieves for her husband, she makes a promise to him saying that she will do her very best to raise their two kids. And after that, the story just takes off as we see Hannah raise Yuki, her 3-year-old daughter, and Ame, her 2-year-old son, all by herself. Throughout the film, you see how the single mom does her very best to raise her two kids while also trying to hide the fact that they're also part wolf. And in the process, she also acts as both mother and father to them. At one point, she moves out to the countryside and basically rebuilds a house from scratch while also learning how to plan food for her kids. And it just goes to show you what a mom will do to provide for her kids. And as time goes on, you see both Yuki and Ame grow older and soon begin to forge their own paths, where one decides they want to live as a human and the other decides to live as a wolf. And when Hannah sees that her children are ready to leave home, it really just pulls your heartstrings, because I feel any parent can relate to this moment when they see that their kids are ready to go off into the real world to start their own journey and at the same time leave home as well. And so watching this moment happen on screen in this movie, it just really just breaks your heart. So overall, I really enjoyed Wolf Children. Not only does it have its nice little funny moments, but it also has these very heartfelt moments that just makes you appreciate the hard work your mom does for you. Now with that being said, let's talk about Maquia, When the Promised Flower Blooms. If you've been following this channel, you know that I mentioned this movie in one of my Talk Around the Blocks videos. And in that video, I actually said that this movie is the #1 movie where I will 100% guarantee cry in. We'll get to that later. But right now, let's talk about the movie. So Maquia, When the Promised Flower Blooms is set in a more fantasy-like world. We follow a girl named Maquia who's part of this kind of like elf-like human immortal race who stopped aging at 15. And what I mean by that is that this girl may look 15, but really she could be about 100 years old. Anyway, while this little girl is living a peaceful life with her people, it doesn't last that long until several human knights come over to just destroy the place, while also in the process kidnap the women and kill the men. And in the midst of all the chaos, Maquia is separated from her people, and as she watches her home just burn to the ground, she comes across a newborn baby boy who's being held by his dead mother. Two lost children who soon become bound to one another. And it's in this moment where the story begins, as we see this little girl raise this human boy as her son. And over the course of the film, you see how Maquia slowly becomes a mom for this human boy. However, there are moments in the film where she's reminded that she's still immortal. Knowing the fact that Maquia is immortal and she'll practically live on forever, and also knowing the fact that her son is human and will eventually die at some point, it's a lot to take in. Not only that, but as time goes on, Maquia's son soon grows older and soon discovers the truth about Maquia. And when he learns that she's not really his mom, he soon becomes very distant and very defiant of her. But thankfully, there are characters in the film that remind him that while even though Maquia is not really his mom, she practically raised him at a very young age and has been taking care of him ever since he was a baby. And so when we watch this scene, and we also watch the following scene where he leaves off to join the army in order to protect his mom, oh, it just breaks our hearts. And by the time we make it to the third act of the film, you can feel the weight of this film come at you at full force as you see both Maquia's world and her son's world intertwined with one another in this big climactic battle that is just raging on throughout the scene. And by the time it's over, you are literally out of breath and in tears. And the last few minutes of the movie, the film decides to have one last chance to make you cry. And I gotta be honest with you, I've cried in films before. I've never cried this hard before in my life. I mean, it was like opening the floodgates. It came to the point where my throat was swollen, I was drenched in sweat, and my tears were stinging my eyes. And by the time the credits were rolling, I immediately picked up the phone to call my mom and tell her how much I love her. So I really love Maquia, When the Promised Flower Blooms. And if you do happen to watch this movie with your mom, I want you to look at her and tell her how much you love her. Because after I watched this movie, it was like an awakening, because I looked in the mirror and promised myself that I was going to be a better son for my mom. So before I wrap this video up, I want to take this moment to say that, Mom, I love you so very much. You are my biggest supporter, and I'm so thankful to have a very hardworking mom like you. I love every single moment we have with each other, and this video is for you. I love you so very much. So that's going to do it for this video, guys. Happy Mother's Day. I hope you all enjoy your day with your mom. I will see you all next time with a brand new video. Bye-bye.